This is CNB. I'm Siddharth Vinayak Patnankar, and we've got a bit of a utility special once again for you. It's raining SUVs everywhere you look, and that's because that's what you, the buyer, is most interested in. We have the comeback of the Bolero from Mahindra, power brand for M&M, sells in huge volumes, but now getting a little bit of an edge to appeal more to the personal or individual buyer. So this is the Bolero Neo. Shams spent time with it to bring you all the details.
The Bolero has been Mahindra's highest selling car for more than a decade. Perhaps why the latest product from the brand not only gets the Bolero name but also tries to be a practical offering. Yes, the name is Bolero Neo, but clearly under all the updates it's a TUV300. Essentially a facelift of the TUV, the car comes with several changes both on the outside and inside. The silhouette of the Bolero Neo largely reminds you of the TUV300, but yes, the face definitely now more appealing than before, especially with this chrome laden grille. With all these vertical slats, looks nice, makes the car look more premium. Then you look at the bumper, redesigned, more curves, again looks nicer. New headlamps along with these horizontal DRLs also adds to the appeal. Then you come to the profile. 15-inch 5-spoke alloys, squarish wheel arches, very important for wannabe SUVs. This nice strip that runs across the door handles all the way to the rear. And finally the side step, something that always adds to the appeal. At the rear, the tailgate mounted spare wheel gets a nice looking cover finished in silver. However, this color of the cover along with chrome inserts on grille, static bending headlamps and alloy wheels are only available on the top of the line N10 trim of the car. In all, there are 6 body colors to choose from. Inside you get a new fabric on the seats while the dashboard design now looks more contemporary. Overall, the idea is to give a more premium looking interior than what is offered with the Bolero or what came in the TUV300. So I can adjust the height of the driver's seat and also have the comfort of an armrest, but only on this top N10 trim. Also available only on this top trim is the 7-inch touchscreen system that we are sort of now familiar with in many Mahindra cars. You can also control some features on this system through the Mahindra BlueSense app. And finally, the twin pod, mostly analog instrument cluster is the same on all the variants, but you do get a small multi-information display in the center. The second row gets decent amount of legroom, but once again features like ISOFIX child seat mounts and center armrest are available only on the top trim. Overall, the cabin does feel premium enough when compared to some other subcompact SUVs sold in the market. A sub 4 meter car, the third row will mostly be not very welcoming unless you are a kid. That's the case with this car as well. Just like the TUV300 side facing seats, struggling with headroom and shoulder room here. But the more worrying part is that there are no seat belts on these side facing seats, not even lap belts. That could be a bit of a concern when it comes to safety. You want more luggage space, fold these seats and get around 384 liters. The Bolero Neo is built on the third generation Scorpio chassis, which is mated to a rear-wheel drive setup. The 1.5-litre diesel engine remains the same as was seen earlier on the TUV300 and is now seen on cars like the ex-UV300 and the Marazzo. For the time being, the car will be offered with just a 5-speed manual gearbox. Let's talk about the figures on this 1.5-litre diesel engine in its BS6 iteration. So the power remains the same at 100 bhp, but there is a significant improvement in the torque figure. So what you get now is 216 Nm, which is roughly 20 Nm more than before, and you get it between 1750 and 2250 RPM. Now essentially what that does is, the way it helps is that the need to do frequent gear shifts, especially at lower speeds like where I am right now, is not so much. So that helps. Apart from that, the throws also are not very long, so that's nice. But yes, the smoothness is somewhat missing. This gear shift can definitely be a bit smoother. We didn't get a chance to drive the car at high speeds, but there was no lack of feedback on the steering at lower speeds. The clutch travel meanwhile is longish, something we have gotten used to when it comes to diesel cars from Mahindra. The Bolero Neo also gets a smart hybrid setup which just takes the fuel efficiency figure a wee bit up. The eco modes in the drivetrain and on the air conditioner system also help in the cause. Though Mahindra has still not told us about the exact figures, we know that this has always been a frugal motor. Now there's a reason why Mahindra wanted us to sample the Bolero Neo on an off-road track like this one, despite this not being an all-wheel drive or a four-wheel drive vehicle, and that is the presence of mechanical locking differential on this vehicle. Now essentially what it does is that it bails you out of slightly tricky situations like this one by giving more traction to the wheels when engaged. All you need is a difference of around 100 RPM between the two wheels, and the system engages itself automatically. Talking about safety, apart from ISOFIX mounts, the Bolero Neo gets dual airbags, ABS with EBD and cornering brake control as standard. Overall, lack of seat belts in the third row do stick out like a sore thumb, given that the company has been a big adopter of safety features in cars recently. The Neo has been launched starting at 8,48,000 rupees ex-showroom, while the N10 is priced at 9,99,000 rupees. The price for the N10 variant with multi-terrain tech is still not out. This makes it one of the more affordable diesel subcompact SUVs. As a reference, the Ford EcoSport is priced between 8,89,000 rupees and 11,19,000 rupees for the diesel model. Neo's cousin, the XUV300, is priced between 9 lakh and 12,66,000 rupees for the diesel manual. This has kept the prices within the reach of many, especially looking at the name Bolero, which has always been associated with the value for money tag.
Welcome back. Now the Kushaq's big rival is of course the Hyundai Creta, the best seller in this segment, and it's going to be an uphill climb to really take on that kind of competition. But speaking of the Creta, there's been some confusion for some of you on how the Creta matches up to the new Alcazar. Is the Alcazar just a three-row Creta? Is there more to it? So this is not really a shootout, it's more about telling you how the two cars are different.
Ever since the new generation Hyundai Creta made its global debut in the iX25 Avatar at the Shanghai Auto Show way back in 2019, we knew a three-row derivative would come our way at some point. That car has debuted some weeks ago as the Hyundai Alcazar. Now in my review, you've heard me saying that the Alcazar is more than just a three-row Creta. This is a long wheelbase car, and so today we'll explain how it is different to the Creta.
Now when you've got two models coming off of the same platform, and especially in such a case where there is going to be a lot of comparison and similarity, well then it's important to have styling changes which are very evidently making the two cars look different. It has been achieved to a certain extent here by Hyundai, and I think the biggest difference is the face. When you look at it, maybe not at first glance, but when you put the two cars together, you certainly see the huge difference. This is not a small grille by any stretch of the imagination, but speaking of stretch, it has been stretched out here and it goes all the way into the headlamp cluster. The idea is to make the Alcazar look bigger and wider up front, and I think it gets achieved to a certain extent. The finish is completely different, and so is the styling between the two. This one is finished in dark chrome and this one's finished in regular chrome. But you know what, those aren't even the only differences in styling terms between the two cars, not even the more drastic ones. So let's quickly run you through the rest.
The Alcazar is 200 millimeters longer than the Creta, and 150 millimeters of that is in the wheelbase. The extended portion behind the C pillar accentuates the curved sculpting in the rear fender and adds a D pillar to the car. The Alcazar also gets a running footboard. The top-end trim gets these stylish 18-inch two-tone alloy wheels, while the base Prestige trim gets 17 inches. The Creta has 17-inch alloys at the top end and 16 inches on lower trims. But it's the rear of the Alcazar which is entirely new. It is a more conventional tail light stack, and the tailgate is also styled to give the appearance of a larger vehicle. I have to say the styling seems a tad inspired by the Ford Endeavour, which is not a bad thing.
So on the Alcazar, the length is of course longer, and so you do have body roll that creeps in. That to me is a very definite difference between this and the Creta, which is a lot sportier. And you know, it's not something that's evident all the time, but yes, high-speed lane changes and turns, well, that's when you'll really feel it. But it doesn't take away from the comfort factor too much, and in fact, I have to say that is the USP really on the Alcazar. It's definitely got great ride quality. For this segment and price point especially, you'll find that that's a very big deal. And yes, even in comparison to the Creta, sitting at the back, the extra little space that you get, and yes, that ride quality does make a difference.
The petrol is a 2-litre 4-cylinder engine with 157 bhp and 191 Nm of peak torque. It is available with both 6-speed manual and torque converter automatic, both giving a fuel average of about 14.5 kilometers per litre. The diesel mill is shared with the Creta. It churns out 113 bhp and 250 Nm, and it's also offered with both 6-speed manual and automatic transmissions. The manual gives you about 20.4 kilometers per litre mileage, while the automatic delivers 18.1 kilometers per litre. The Creta has 3 powertrains and a wider range of transmission options. The 1.5-litre 4-cylinder petrol engine is mated either to a 6-speed manual or a 6-step CVT transmission. The top-of-the-line and sportier 1.4-litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol motor puts out 138 bhp and a solid 242 Nm of peak torque. And this motor is exclusively available with only a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. Then there's the same 1.5-litre 4-cylinder diesel engine as the Alcazar with the same 2 gearbox options as well.
Now, when the first generation of the Creta came in, the car was appreciated, but let's face it, it wasn't really loaded on kit. I mean, even the DRLs, there weren't any, and I'm talking pre-facelift. Now you've got everything. This is just fully packed with features. And on the powertrain side, it's really great that you have this combination of the DCT with the turbo engine. To me, that's a master stroke. And to me, that's the thing that could have been done on the Alcazar. You could have got one of the bigger displacement turbo engines from the many that Hyundai, Kia have in their lineup globally. That didn't happen for perhaps cost reasons, or, well, let's face it, cost reasons. And that's the big difference. So if you want a car that's more fun to drive and you're more oriented towards that, you've got to pick the Creta. The paddle shifts on the turbo only help.
Now Shubham is going to run you through the differences inside the cabin. We begin with the Alcazar, which gets a 6 or 7-seater layout. The car with us is the 6-seater in its highest trim, Signature.
Well, initially, you may not feel how big this cabin is, and we much like this configuration, the 6-seater captain seat configuration, because the seats are really comfortable and you get this fixed central console. And it comes with options like you have your wireless charger here, cup holders, and more storage options. Then other features remain same. You get your sun blinds, these comfortable cushion on the headrest, and you have adjustment options. So you can adjust the seat front and back, your backrest, So you make more room for every passenger, even those sitting in the third row. And then usual options again, you have your aircon vents and charging options.
Getting in and out of the third row is a bit of a task thanks to the narrow door well, and it's not an ideal place for adults for longer drives. The boot space naturally gets compromised with all the seats up, but fold that third row down and you get a nice huge 579-litre boot. That's 146 litres more than the Creta's. The cognac brown dual-tone interior of the Alcazar does look more high-end than the Creta's two-tone cabin, but in terms of features, both SUVs are evenly matched. Both get Hyundai's Blue Link connected car suite. Top-end trims in both also get features like 64-color ambient lighting, voice commands, power adjustment for the driver seat, an 8-speaker Bose surround sound system, front ventilated seats, an electric parking brake, built-in air purifier, and more. But a lot of these features are standard across variants on the Alcazar. It also has an all-digital instrument cluster with 3 different design themes. The cluster also shows you the blind spot camera views when you turn on the side indicators. And in addition to that, both models do well on safety, especially at the higher trims, which get everything from 6 airbags, ABS, electronic stability control, vehicle stability management control, hill start assist, ISOFIX child seat anchors, and more. On prices, there is naturally a difference between the two. In fact, the Creta's top spec models pretty much top off where the Alcazar starts. The Creta also gets more trim levels and, as we said before, more drivetrain options. The Hyundai Alcazar is offered in only 3 trims and prices top off just over 20 lakh rupees. All these prices that you're seeing are, of course, ex-showroom. Both models do, in a sense, cater to different buyers. The Creta is better suited to urban individuals who like all the bells and whistles and yet want a sportier edge to their daily driving. The Alcazar is more of a family mover and yet offers enough and more to create a plush experience, and yes, definitely feels bigger, of course.
So that's how the Alcazar and the Creta match up. Now I'm going to take the Kushaq out for a bit of a spin since I've got the car with me. I want to spend some more time with it. But I can tell you it's the TSI engines. That's the big talking point with this. And remember, the Taygun, which is its Volkswagen alter ego, well, that's just a few weeks away as well. So lots to look forward to. Please react to everything. You can reach me on Twitter, or of course, remember that everything we talk about here is also on carandbike.com. I will see you next week. Till then, please wear your seatbelts. Bye-bye.